Douglas Maddy and welcome to Altered Perceptions. In this video I'm going to be reacting to Joe Rogan, Derren Brown, ignoring haters is a recipe for failure. Let's have a look at it.
The real problem with The Secret is the idea that you're taking all these people that are already successful. They've achieved a certain result. And then you're asking them, how did you achieve that result? Well, I thought positive and I just really put my mind to it and I dreamt on it. They all have this in common.
Yes.
Well, you know who also thought positive? Bunch of losers.
Yeah.
You know, they tried and, you know, they got hit in the head by asteroids or car accidents or the world turned bad on them. I mean, that actually can happen too.
Yeah.
So it's just, you have a biased focus group.
Exactly. You have a bias. Yes, exactly. It's exactly. Yeah. And the idea of setting a goal, fixating on it, and ignoring all the haters and ignoring all the people that will bring you down is a perfect recipe for failure, as much as it's a common anecdotal story of success.
Well, the problem with that is if you just focus on the one. The thing about human beings, I think, is that we really do need other people's input and interaction. And the idea that you're going to work in a vacuum and create this great masterpiece without any interaction with other human beings, that doesn't really work like that.
It doesn't, because life is active and messy and ambiguous and ambivalent, and I think the trouble is we get hung up on nouns like happiness or meaning or even the self, right? Because I think actually these things are verbs. They're maybe we self as a verb, you know, maybe it's something that happens dynamically in the relationships that we're in. Maybe our self is something that kind of extends out into the world and is, you know, kind of fluid in that way. And happiness maybe that's an activity. Meaning is maybe an activity. But we reduce these things to nouns like they're really neat, easy, isolated things, and they're really not. So like in a lot of the TV shows that I do, I'm putting people through like a transformative process, and they're reacting to kind of really extreme situations, and I always have people saying, oh, I wouldn't do that. Although they think it's all fake, because I would never do that. But
yeah, this is the difference between, say, someone like Derren Brown and David Blaine. So when David Blaine does a TV special, he's going through the transformative process. So if he's staying in a box, standing on a pole, getting frozen in time, going up with a load of balloons, whatever it is that he's doing it and he's participating in it, and he's the agent of change. Whereas in the narrative for the Derren Brown specials, he tends to take normal people and put them in extraordinary situations. So he makes it all about the viewer. And again, this is where people can find his stuff very relatable, because he'll take somebody and then he'll get them to like land a plane or do a heist or do something totally bizarre. There was one where he got somebody betting everything that he owned or something on a horse because he'd created a system of belief that made him believe that he could do it. And that's essentially what Joe Rogan's saying. It's like the people at the top that kind of got there think, well, what I done must have worked, so I must be right. It's a very egotistical boost. Joe Rogan is a comedian as well, so he's used to hecklers and stuff like that. So ignoring haters is probably... It's weird, because in one way you don't want to like consume the heckling, but at the same time you want to take note of it. So it's sort of like, again, it's making sure that you don't become emotionally reactive. You take the lessons that you need to learn from the heckle. So instead of ignoring haters, you look for the lessons that are to be learned in the feedback that you're getting from the audience.
They're viewing themselves as this isolated, this sort of individual, kind of separated from everything else, watching that and thinking how they behave. What they're not doing is thinking, and if I were in that situation with those same pressures,
yes,
what? And then that's amazing that does change us. That we're not these, you know, for 200-300 years we've had this idea that we are these kind of. It all goes back to like not being influenced by kings and priests. Like this is John Locke. It's like the beginnings of that idea that we should have this kind of personal authority, and it's drifted into through Kant, I think it's drifted into a really unrealistic and unfair sense of how isolated we are, and we're clearly social creatures.
Yes, I agree with him. Nothing happens in isolation. There's a feedback loop between you and the audience. So any feedback that you get, whether it's positive or negative, is still valuable feedback. And you should always adapt your performance to the stereotypical audience, and because they're essentially voting on what is and isn't a good performance. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and you'll be notified of our latest videos.